Hello. Hey, hi Bhagyashree. Thank you for joining in. I'm expecting a couple of more people to join in. So we'll start somewhere around 12:10. Till then you can stay back. We'll start soon. Hi, folks. Welcome to today's session. Let me just check your settings. You should be able to chat now and unmute and speak up as well. So, good morning. Uh, okay, sorry, looking at the time, it's good afternoon. So, good afternoon. I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. And thank you for joining in. Irrespective of this being a Sunday, you guys chose to learn something or added something new and exciting. Session. Let me just adjust volume over here. Okay. I can see Abha, Bhagyeshri, and everyone on screen. Chalo, let's get started. Today we have an interesting agenda at hand, and this is, by the way, going to be a fairly interactive session. So I'll be asking you questions, be ready to answer them, and interact during the process. Now, given that we have limited participation, why not make it fully interactive? And let's interactive in the sense, let's get to know each other before getting started, so I can customize my let's say overall delivery according to your expectation. So let's do a roundabout. Hi Abba, would you like to introduce yourself and what are your expectations from the session? Also, would you like to add what do you do, where are you from, if you're comfortable?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Abha Chafekar. I'm currently in SY BCom.
Mhm.
I'm from Pune,
Okay.
and I was doing CA earlier, but I dropped it, and now I'm planning to do ACCA.
Okay. And
So
if you don't mind, Abba,
yeah,
I'm like मी पण पुण्याचाच आहे. So which college are you
okay,
pursuing your
hi.
BCom from?
It's a dummy college, KHS, if you have heard about it. I mean, you would have.
Uh, KHS, I
Kaveri,
know.
yeah.
Yes. It's funny how you call it dummy, but ठीक है.
I mean, nobody really attends college.
Yeah, I'm aware, I'm aware. Our office is nearby to KHS, by the way, 5 minutes from KHS.
Okay,
Okay, glad to know. So
yeah.
you're dropping out of CA and you're considering ACCA. Anything else you
Yes.
would like to add?
No,
Okay,
that's yeah.
great. Next we have Anaga. Hi, Anaga. Anaga might not be able to unmute herself. Maybe Anaga is feeling shy today. Next, we have Ankit. Ankit Singh, can you hear me? Would you like to introduce yourself? Last call, Ankit. No, ठीक है. Next, we have Bhagyashri. Bhagyashri, are you there? Can you hear me? Anaga might be facing an issue. Okay, no problem. When it comes to webinars, not everyone is comfortable unmuting themselves. But ठीक है. Coming to today's agenda now. Those who don't know about the FinStreet, the one who's arranging this webinar. So FinStreet has been in market for almost 2.5 years now, and the core offering was around US CMA, and this was started by me only. Now, over time, and me in the sense, I started teaching US CMA at certain classes. Then I switched to starting FinStreet as a venture, and I also teach at few colleges in Pune. One primarily being I teach at BMCC, where I started teaching both US CMA and then I switched to ACCA as well. So when I started teaching ACCA, I got to know more about this course, that what is the context behind this course, why students opt for this course, what are pros and cons, and then I decided, okay, given that student needs some assistant around coaching for ACCA as well, why not? Let's give it a try. So me and couple of my friends from BMCC, from the industry, who are working in corporates, who are ACCA qualified, we have now started ACCA prep program as such. And today's agenda is to cover why would someone consider ACCA or what someone can expect out of ACCA. Now, here's a classic example to start with. Let's say there are two companies. There is company A based out of India. There is company B, which is based out of US. And then there is company C, which is based out of, let's say, UK. And these three companies are in the same segment. All three are in FMCG. And now we want to compare them. But the question was, can we really compare these companies? Because the main issue was India was following its own accounting standards, US is following its own accounting standards, UK follows its own accounting standards. And this was a major problem statement. I'm just creating a hypothetical scenario to explain core value of ACCA. So given that companies from three different countries will come up with their own mechanism or own standards, at one point in time, now again giving some context behind this, majority of literature standards in finance come in from two parts of the world. One is US and second is Europe. Both were superpowers. वर्ल्ड वॉर वगैरह उस टाइम पे चला जाता है, बिफोर वर्ल्ड वॉर वन और अराउंड वर्ल्ड वॉर वन यूरोप हैड डोमिनेंट हैंड, आफ्टर वर्ल्ड वॉर टू यूएस हैड डोमिनेंट हैंड back in those days. But again, I'm just cutting some timeline to give real context. So eventually what happened, these two were powerhouses and these guys decided that okay, let's create literature, let's create standard for the world. And Europe started taking up an initiative and founded something called as IFRS Foundation. Under this foundation, they decided that, okay, let's form a board called IASB, International Accounting Standards Board. They decided that through this board, we will come up with a reporting mechanism, IFRS mechanism. And through this IFRS mechanism, all the global companies, basically MNCs who are operating in more than one country or who has an investor outreach in more than one country can follow a same template. That's how they came up with IFRS. Now, there was a strong attempt. This is somewhat storytelling, but this is quite interesting. Now, from early 2000 till I would say 2012, to some extent 2015, there was a sincere attempt made by US folks as well, US GAAP, to merge with IFRS so that there is one standard which is superior to all, and this will be followed throughout. But by the time 2012, 2015 came in, there were a lot of issues highlighted, and eventually they said that okay, this is looking not so feasible to merge all the standards, so let's keep separate standard as such. So right now the world of finance is split into two literatures or two reporting standards or two mechanisms or two perspectives as such. Fundamentals more or less stay the same, but the world is still torn into two parts as such. One, the companies who are inclined towards US reporting mechanism, and second, the word that is inclined towards European or UK based mechanism. After Brexit, we can call Europe and UK separately. Now, those who want to make career where US literature, finance literature comes up predominantly, and they are interested in three major core roles. Within finance, we have the business finance role, where you are managing money. Then you have audit and taxation, and then you have reporting. Whenever you want to work in this side of things, CPA is something that will help you build expertise. And along with that, specifically for taxation, students usually go for EA as well. But when you're inclined towards European side of things, this is where ACCA comes into the picture. That you want to learn the overall ecosystem of finance. Ecosystem of finance, same thing. How business manages finance, business finance. Secondly, how auditing works, how taxation works, and lastly, how reporting works. If you want to learn these three pillars, but from European perspective, your ACCA comes into picture. Now, beyond this, if we compare different roles where ACCA works in majorly, majority of ACCA in India usually land up in finance operations. And we say finance operation, think of it in this way. Let's say there is a company. Let's take example of an automobile company. Now, when CEO of this company wakes up one day, his focus would be on how his cars are getting their feedback from customers. What is the design team working on? What is the innovation team working on? And a number of things. So over here, whenever CEO needs some assistance on financial perspective, now from financial perspective, what level of assistance would be required? One is, okay, there is some capital expenditure required. This might be for growth of the company. This might be for additional, let's say, if not growth, let's say some project that they need to start, or some technology that they need to acquire, or any other requirement from capex perspective or from opex perspective, operating expenditure, that they want to, let's say, take another factory on rent, maybe increase their workforce, a number of things that goes under operations. So whenever these requirements are there, CEO relies on a financial expert. That is one perspective. Now, whenever operating expenditure or capital expenditure is delivered, there is a budget created, and along with this budget comes your expectations. So, giving a budget, marking expectations, understanding if there is any difference in between. This is called as variance analysis. This comes into picture. And once you have budget, expectation, difference, you take overall data to reporting. And the final pillar of reporting is in two parts. One is internal reporting, second is external reporting. Talking about internal reporting, this is more towards how the performance has been and how profitability has worked out. Second is, and again, if it's not profitability, if it's loss making company, then it goes towards investigation of why we are incurring loss. When we talk about external reporting, more inclined towards how compliance, avoiding heavy usage of words, but okay, compliance. Compliance is basically whatever rules and regulations are marked by regulatory authorities. Just say in India, we have SEBI. Similarly, in let's say US, we have ACC. In this way, in Europe, if they have adapted IFRS, then IFRS becomes your compliance format or template. So as per the compliance, as per required rules and regulations, you will release your accounts. So from compliance perspective, external reporting, you will come up with your reports. This is more to do with matching all the rules and regulations. This is more to do with matching your management expectation or investor expectations. This is the major difference, or this is rather scope of ACCA's workflow. And every point in time, how ACCA professional is built up, how ACCA professional learns in different phases. Let's take that. In overall ACCA framework, we have three levels where we learn all these skills. First is your knowledge level. At times I call it foundation, so excuse me for that if I call it foundation by any chance. But first level is knowledge level, where we introduce you to three simple topics. We have BT, we have MA, we have FA. At this point, the only expectation is to understand A, B, C, D of how accounts work, how businesses are formed, and how technology is used in it. That's it. And I'll come to the exemption part later, but let's understand the structure first. So this is the knowledge part. Coming to next part where we have skills. Now in 2027, they are going to change this skills name to expertise level. Abhi iska naam skills level hai. But under skills, we have overall 6 subjects, and this is where I would say the real learning starts. Under skills, we start with law, we start with taxation, and then we have audit assurance, we have thing FR, we have FM, and we have PM, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6 subjects are done. These are the 6 subjects. Now, out of this, I have some experience in teaching FM and PM. As I said, I teach at a college in Pune. So this is where I primarily teach FM and PM. But if I talk about the overall level, this is where you will observe law gives you regulatory perspective that how in a specific region law needs to be executed, and this is Europe specific. Tax, again, taxation in Europe. Audit assurance, again, there is an interesting bifurcation between audit and assurance. If I speak about audit, again, it goes into regulatory side of things where after completing an audit, an ACCA needs to sign on it. Similar to in India, similar to in the case in India, we have chartered accountants signing on your audit reports. In Europe, we have ACCA signing on it. But assurance is more of an internal control check, making sure that अच्छा, everything is up to the mark. कोई fraud नहीं हो रहा है, कोई scam नहीं हो रहा है. And number of things need to be checked. So audit assurance always go hand in hand. FR is your financial reporting, and majority of places actually start their ACCA learning with FR. Now, why they start with FR? Here comes your exemption perspective. See, as I said, when we talk about compliance, it is region specific. IFRS, even though it was supposed to be a global template, what they have created a reference template. Okay, chalo, this is IFRS. Now, n number of countries can sign an MOU, adapt IFRS, and do their own adjustments. So, India has actually done that, and because of which, someone who has started their BCom, where their law, Indian law, mercantile law is covered, Indian taxation is covered, basics of technology, accounting is covered, there is an exemption given. So in India, there are shortlisted more than 80 central plus state universities. For example, in the beginning, I think we had Abha who mentioned that she's from KHS, which comes under Pune University. So Pune University is actually part of this. So part of this 80 plus central plus state universities where there are specific programs mentioned. If you are part of this program, you get a standard exemption for complete knowledge level. So no need to give any paper. And law and tax, which is region specific. In India, we have an MOU with IFRS or adoption of IFRS. So again, if your BCom covers law and taxation, which Pune University does for BCom, so you'll get a plain flat 5 subject exemption. No need to learn these subjects. So someone, for example, if coming in from Pune University is pursuing ACCA, for you at skills level, no need to give law and tax. This is pretty much taken care of. This is a cross, or you can write this as a cross. You have to start with, let's say, FR. Then if you like theory, you can move to audit assurance. If you like calculations, move to PM. And if you like financial management, then you have FM. These are the 4 subjects will appear from your skills level. And lastly, you have something called as professional level. Under professional level, there are 2 subjects which are mandatory, which kind of train you for senior management role. This is called as SBR, Strategic Business Reporting, and SBL, Strategic Business Leadership. This gives you an overall perspective around decision making, how to run a business, but from financial expertise perspective. And then you have a bucket of 4 subjects. You had AA in skill level, now you have advanced audit and assurance. You had FM, over here you will have advanced FM. You had PM, over here you will have advanced PM. And you had tax over here you will have advanced taxation. Now, as a ACCA candidate, you have to choose any 2 subjects out of all these 4. SBR and SBL is pretty much doable. But looking at your own preference and comfort zone, if you're someone who is very comfortable with theory, students usually go for audit and assurance. Someone who likes calculation, FM and PM is their go-to place. And someone is extremely passionate about taxation, goes for advanced taxation. But it is up to candidate which they want to pick up. By the way, I also teach AFM. I have a special place in my heart for FM. So I tend to teach that subject wherever possible. Okay. So this is pretty much scope of ACCA as a curriculum, ACCA as a career, what roles you can get into. And maybe one sweet spot which students like to discuss is the salary expectation. Now, before going to salary, let me just share one, interesting incident I had. So in the current academic year where I teach, we had participated in ACCA's case masters competition. Case masters competition. It was a case study competition. My team came out to be third. So we were in Bangalore, and I got to meet uh, the India leadership of ACCA Institute, CEO of ACCA Institute. She had flown all the way from UK to India. And in her speech, one thing she had highlighted was rather two things. One, in terms of the AI coming into the picture, that soon finance scope will change because of AI integration. And ACCA as a program is working on it. So you will see significant change next year in 2027 curriculum where you will see significant amount of tech coming into your curriculum and even sustainability coming into your curriculum. So that's a good news. Someone who starts ACCA right now, ACCA typically takes 3 years to complete. So someone who's starting ACCA right now, you will be part of this, learning curve or first pilot batch who has learned the updated curriculum. Second, in terms of jobs, an interesting thing the CEO of ACC Institute highlighted that currently the job demand is way higher than supply of ACCs in the market. And this is a rare sight. Given that this was quoted by global leadership, this shows the potential for ACCA program overall in the market. Now, the floor would be open. I want to take quick Q&A for 10-15 minutes, but I hope majority segment is covered. Also, I wanted to quote numbers before someone asked me, sir, what are average packages? See, average package depends on n number of things. Let me be very honest with you. First, see, there are two types of candidates who enter into the job market. A candidate who, let's say, completed their BCom from a good college overall, where they have campus placements, where good companies show up, MNC show up, they offer, analyst associate package, and they start their overall career starting package at the level of 4 to 6 lakh rupees. These guys have a comfortable start, and these guys, after experience of let's say 2 to 3 years, for ACCA, you need to complete 3 years of PR, professional experience requirement. So after experience of 2 to 3 years, with significant start, with a good kickoff, I would say, to their overall career, eventually these guys end up making 12 lakh to 15 lakh aram se. But a number of things considered. ACCA needs to be completed by that time. There should be at least one promotion included in this. And secondly, at least one switch. Also, I'm considering that tier 1 city में placement हुआ है. Again, the tier 1 cities get different packages, tier 2 gets different packages. Within tier 1 also, if you're in Mumbai, you have a different package. Mumbai, Gurgaon, fairly expensive cities, so a bit higher packages. Tier 1 mein, let's say you go to Bangalore, slightly lower. You go to Chennai or you go to Hyderabad, so slightly lower as compared to Mumbai and Gurgaon. So these differences are always there. Now, second scenario, I'm just giving you a range. Okay, this is best case scenario. Now I'm talking about someone who has completed BCom from tier 3 college. So tier 3 college है मतलब off campus placement needs to be there. Now off campus placement है तो usually the packages start from 3L, they go up to 5L. And after 2 to 3 years of experience, one thing that will happen is getting a really good role. This should be your priority in these 2 to 3 years. No matter what, target a good role. Because when you start with off-campus placement, it is very difficult to get into a creamy layer role. You eventually end up in back office or mid office role because you need to train yourself. You need to add that value. Now, once you're trained and through ACCA or through any certification, when you move into a better role, this should be a first target. Then you can expect a jump. And in this case, again, my expectation for you guys would be somewhere around 10 lakh after 2 to 3 years of overall completion. Now, again, n number of factors included. where 2 to 3 years may, even though you are in back end or mid end, mid office, at least one promotion or one switch. One promotion or one switch should be there, making sure that ACC is complete to support and help you in this negotiation. So in a span of 3 years, this is something that you can target to achieve. So this is a range I'm giving. Even worst case scenario में चलो, let me give you 8L to 10L का range. If you are not able to, let's say, achieve at least one promotion, or you are only able to land one switch, then again 8 to 10L over a period of 3 years is very much feasible. So this is overall scope of ACCA. And lastly, before jumping to Q&A, we have just launched. I think there has been 10 days ago or 15 days ago, we have launched ACCA, and we have kept our admissions open. The first batch, the first chapter will be starting on coming Saturday. So this is your last chance if you want to start, let's say, ACCA with FinStreet. This would be the week where you can enroll and get started with us. Now, what FinStreet brings to the table? There is a unique model that we have created. See, it's like I want to be part of this journey, but given that I'm not an ACCA, we have an ACCA, by the way, in our meeting room. If you see CA Avanti Zog, she's a global ranker, so I'll be calling her forward for a Q&A. But the model that we are planning to create is teaching plus mentorship model, where in terms of mentorship, every week you guys will have a call with me. So I'll write Aditya sir over here, where my focus would be on your progress. Secondly, your doubts. If you're a student, my focus would be on your profile built up. And then there is one more thing. In terms of your milestones, I want to make sure that there are certain tests conducted time to time, making sure that even before going to the exam, we are well aware, are we going to pass or not? This is one formula I had created for other programs. So this is something I'm going to replicate for ECC as well. So every Friday, that's what the schedule says. Every Friday, there will be a call with me, mentorship call for the whole batch. We are starting off small, so I'm expecting a batch of 10 members only. So it's very much doable to have a personal connect with you guys. From this is basically, again, the target is two-way, completing ACC as soon as possible and making you corporate ready. This is one part. Second, from teaching perspective, there are two faculty members you guys will be having. One is Avanti ma'am. Avanti ma'am comes in with a rich experience. By the way, she is a CA plus ACCA Global Ranker. Thank you, Avanti ma'am, for joining the session. So she comes in with a very rich experience of more than half a decade, where she has taught ACC in multiple institutions plus colleges. So a hardcore teacher and a place where students will feel comfortable in terms of learning. You will have one more expert, Ashwani sir. He has not joined in because he's taking a class today. So Ashwani sir is again a qualified ACCA professional, and he's a corporate expert with more than a decade of experience in this. He also holds diploma in IFRS. So we will be soon launching a diploma course as well. Again, that will be internally driven specifically for FinStreet students. But yes, this is some additional reference you can have. So IFRS plus ACC, Ashwani sir will take care of it. He himself is an expert in revenue side of things, IFRS reporting side of things. And third, a corporate expert and a very dear friend, Niranjan sir. Niranjan sir has completed 11 papers, and Niranjan sir is, again, I bring him mainly for the corporate exposure and the network he has within the industry. Niranjan sir works in Hitachi. He was an ex-AVP in Credit Suisse. When it comes to our placement, prepping our students for different interviews, making sure they're comfortable before the interview, getting connected with different people, Niranjan sir is an invaluable asset for us. Again, when it comes to the knowledge level and skill level, I count on Niranjan sir as well. He has completed his 11 paper, 2 papers from professional level are pending. Post that, he'll be taking up professional level as well. So you have 3 strong faculties on teaching end and on mentorship end. You have me every Friday. We'll be connecting to discuss all these things. And lastly, I want to open up Q&A as soon as possible. Just last comment. When we started our first program, okay, FinStreet is mainly known for CMA. We have one of the best numbers in India in terms of admission, passing result, awards we have won. But no one knows that the first batch we had taken was at such a huge discount, and some students even enrolled for free just because we wanted to show what we could deliver. And the same logic continues for this batch as well. This is our first batch for ACCA that is ever going to go for ACCA program. So two things we're targeting. First is 100% passing rate, which we did for other programs. And second is making sure that everyone gets placed as well, which we did for other programs as well. So if you're someone who's interested, one benefit that we'll get out of it is just because we are trying to show before claiming our value, you will get heavy discounts as part of the first batch. But for that, you have admissions team, they'll help you with all the details. I am here to help you with all your career related queries. Okay. With that, I bring my monologue to an end. And if you have any queries, we are more than happy to take it up. And just to bring one more context, I think Abha mentioned that she is a CA dropout. So there are exemptions for CA dropout as well. But someone who has, let's say, completed CA, IPCC, both groups, you have exemptions of 6 papers. BCom from Pune University's 5 papers. And someone who has completed CA final, you have 9 papers का exemption. Thought of adding that as well. ठीक है चलो. This brings my monologue to the end. Avanti ma'am, can you hear me?
Hi, Ditya. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and thank you for the kind introduction. It's
Yes,
nice to see all of you on a Sunday. So, whatever you ask, whatever you want, I'm here for you.
awesome. So we have around 15 to 16 members, YouTube, Zoom included. Uh, most of the questions are answered. We had a quick interaction with Abha in the beginning, but let me open the floor if there are any questions. Uh, let me go around the table. Guys, do you have any questions around ACCA which you would like to ask? I can see some in the chat box. What is the difference between budget and expectation? Please answer later. I'll pass on that to Avanti ma'am. So Avanti ma'am, whenever a finance team sets up their budget and along with that certain expectations, how would you simplify that?
Right. So, Ankit, thank you for the question. You see, a budget is specifically something that is focused on what would your estimated figures be, both about cost and revenue, based on what your trend is in the past. So, if you expect that your material cost would be somewhere in the range of 55,000, then you would expect that to continue in the coming budget, of course, adding on to inflation, etc. So, that is how a budget is constructed. And expectation is a broader term. So you can have expectation about your sales or your demand or cutting down your costs. So that is generic view, you can say. If you ask expectation in terms of forecast, like what could be my demand in the next year or the next month, etc., then that is based on future trends. So a outlook of budget is based on whatever your past experience is, and expectation of forecast is based on what your future looks like. So I may break it down as the main difference.
Okay. We have some questions coming in from YouTube attendees as well.
Yeah.
Sting PS Gamer is asking, do ACCA have value in Canada?
In Canada. Okay. So thank you for the question. You see, Canada and US have predominantly focused on CPA, but ACCA has applicability of over 180 countries. So definitely not that dominant in US markets, but overall across European and Asian markets, ACCA is very dominant.
Okay. Next, from the same attendee we have, how much time does it take to complete ACCA?
Right. That's a great question. So you see, we have, may I know that if you're applicable for any exemptions or so, who will,
Sing PS Gamer, do you have any exemptions? Or you can tell us your background as well.
correct, if you are a graduate or so.
I think it will take some time for his response to come in. So we can
Sure.
consider two scenarios: someone who is, let's say, 12th passed,
Fresh. Yeah.
and someone who has, let's say, the five usual exemptions.
Absolutely. Okay. So as Aditya sir mentioned that we have three papers knowledge, we have six skill, and then we have four of professional. A knowledge paper you can give anytime once you're ready. So it's on demand exams. So maybe you can book them. If I assume that you would take 2 or 3 months on an average to, I'm taking this very conservatively and slow. You can definitely pace it up. But if you take 2 or 3 months a paper, then you can complete the knowledge level in 6 to 8 months. Okay. Once you're done with the knowledge level, every skill paper has a quarterly base exam. So if I book one paper each quarter, again, I'm taking a slow paced approach, then six papers into three. Law is again on demand. So five papers into three, which has about 15 months, 1 year, and some months over. And then professional again, 4 quarters and four papers. So therefore 1 year, one over 1 year. So on an average, about 2.5 to 3 years to complete the entire journey if you're starting from fresh. And if you have exemptions, then you can cut down whatever is not applicable to you. If you have five exemptions, let's say, then you have to cover the four papers of skill, which is 1 year, and then again four papers of professional. So about 2 years for you.
Okay. Next question we have is from a Zoom attendee. Can we book two papers at once, BT and MA?
You most certainly can. In fact, I gave my AAA and APM together of professional level. So you certainly can give two or more papers at a time for ACCA, definitely.
Okay. Next,
So,
Devanshu is asked. Yes,
yeah,
go ahead, go
correct, correct. So Devanshu
ahead.
had asked that what is the difference between finance covered in ACCA versus a CFA? That's a great question, Devanshu. Again, you see that Devanshu, sorry, you see in CFA there's a more in-depth and more practical-oriented focus on finance as compared to ACCA. In ACCA, finance is one of the subjects, but you will know more about, let's say, trading strategies or forex operations in depth in or derivatives or analytical tools in CFA as compared to ACCA. So ACCA definitely gives you expertise knowledge, but CFA covers financial aspects much more in depth as compared to ACCA. Yes, Abha.
Hi. So I wanted to ask about taxation exemption. So if I get my taxation paper exempted, will I still be able to choose taxation in professional level, or what does it?
Yeah, that's a great question. You absolutely can. So even if you get exemptions in taxation, you can go for it in the professional level. I would recommend you a word of caution is that skim through the tax books. They are UK based taxation. So if you're confident and comfortable with tax, definitely you can go for it. There's no barrier to choose it.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Welcome.
Next, we have finance job rules for ACCA affiliate.
Absolutely. I think Aditya sir has wonderfully explained, but Aditya sir, I would like to, if you can throw some light on
Oh,
it.
sure. So when it comes to rule, one is the best place to get is outsourced entities. For this, we have something called as GCCs. Now, what are GCCs? I'll give you one example. Let's say there's Deutsche Bank having their main office in Germany. But now they think that, array, as bank, we want to focus mainly on our services front end. Front end, matlab, yeah, any service, any product, sales is basically a front end. But over here, they have to take care of their, let's say, accounting. Now, accounting, is this getting any revenue for the company? No. Please send it to India. And given that it comes under Europe, let's have some ECCs working on it. Next, we have risk management. Again, the risk management, is it getting us any revenue? No. Let's send it to India and we will have some, let's say, ACCs working on it or some risk professionals working on it. Let's say we want some infra finance analysis to be done. Now, what is infra finance? Basically, how many employees do we have? How to set up budget for them? How to plan our growth? How much funds do we have for that? What were our targets? investigation of differences. And when we say investigation of differences, it is basically we were expecting a revenue of, let's say, $150, and we ended up only getting $120. So why is there a difference? Again, this kind of analysis can help us take decision, but when it comes to doing the analysis, again, you want to save your cost. And while saving your cost, which is the best place to go currently, it's actually India. So a lot of such roles are outsourced from European entities to India, where they ask you to do all these jobs. But again, let me break it down specifically. We had a small overview during the session, but as I usually break it down into three verticals, we have business finance. Business finance may it all starts with how you raise capital. So when it comes to raising capital, you want to see how business works. Is our revenue data up to the mark? Are there too many returns? Are there any too many write-offs? N number of things to be analyzed. Other than that, how is our cost working? This basically tells us how our performance is working. And after doing a due diligence on this, due diligence means everything is checked correct. We can go to an investor and start raising capital. Now, once the capital is raised, we have new capital coming into the business. This is where your CFO teams come into picture. Of course, CFO leads in raising capital as well, but this is mainly, outsourced. Companies don't raise capital by themselves. They usually take a mediator. कोई investment bank या merchant bank आता है, which basically helps you raise capital. But once you have the capital, now it's on your own. So you can maybe hire a consultant if required, and this is where big four entities and other entities come into picture to help you. But again, it is CFO's role. So CFO will make sure that okay, I have certain capital. Let me create a budget for different functions. How much budget should go to purchase? How much budget should go to, let's say, production team? How much budget should be set up for inventory part, and a number of things. Now, whenever you are giving budget, as Avanti ma'am explained in between, which with every budget there is certain expectation or actual expectation in the sense forecast setup. And once we have actual numbers coming in, actual versus forecasting ka analysis is something that we look after. So again, this helps us with the performance analysis. Performance analysis. And lastly, your CEO and CFO need to take decisions for coming times, right? The senior management is always forward looking. Historical data is mainly for accounting, but critical data is always used for forward looking decision. So all this performance analysis and whatever we have done throughout the year through data reports goes to senior management. Again, somewhere ACCA will come in and help through reporting vertical. And if you're fortunate enough to be CFO someday, you will take all the critical decisions. Now, beyond this also, see, this is a typical structure, but there are a lot of professional ACCAs or finance professionals rather in my circle who are working on roles such as, let's say, business transformation. Somewhere it is also called as digitization. You have certain system in place. Let's say it is not that efficient. Can you bring in automation to this? Now, automation craze was back in 2000 and early 2000s, like I think 2012-15 tak, automation was at peak. Now, after automation, in current world, we would say, can AI make it better? So there are such teams. They are also called as change management teams, finance transformation team, finance digitization teams, which look into these matters. Again, somewhere a mix of finance and tech can play a role, and a lot of ACCAs are actually getting placed into such roles. And when we say a term, I mean, the revenue side of things, it looks a bit simple because we don't know how huge corporations work. But believe me, something as simple as revenue has multiple segments. That how revenue recognition team would work, how revenue leakage and recovery team would work, whatever revenue is supposed to be there versus actually is, finding out the leakage, doing the recovery, how the reporting is working, how the writes off are working. So one revenue team will have multiple departments, multiple teams working on small things, because when you have a multinational company which is reporting millions and millions dollars in their revenue, you need experts working into each and every bits and piece of finance ecosystem. So I hope this gives some perspective.
I would just like to add, Aditya sir has explained very holistically. One thing that he mentioned before is sustainability. And this is one area where the rules are opening up enormously. Okay. So if I have to give you that, you might have heard of integrated reporting, right? So companies are going on with financial statements which are related to sustainability angles, how they are being able to run their operations in an environment friendly way, along with traditional reporting. So there's a lot that is going on experimental mode in this area. And if you are into reporting or if you're into financial management, then there is a lot of scope in this area for upcoming ACCAs. And as he mentioned, that the curriculum also is updating with a lot of focus on data skills, which he has already mentioned, and sustainability. So this is an upcoming area where you can focus a lot. And the benefit about ACCA affiliate is that, as he is mentioning, you have IFRS, international laws and regulations exposure. So that directly gives you an applicability for MNCs and global companies.
Yes, just to show, exact point where you can actually read about what Avanti ma'am is saying. See, IFRS Foundation we discussed, they have some trustees which forms a board. Now, IASB gives you IFRS reporting standard. Now, there is something called as SASB, SASB. This is actually giving you sustainability reporting standards. This is part of the same ecosystem. That's why in 2027, when curriculum updates, you'll get to see a lot of stuff around this. Now, I
Absolutely.
think we have one more question. Someone who is just 12th pass, don't know where his interest is. Should he choose between ACCA, CFA, MBA, certainty about job, high pay after completing and building skills? This is
Right.
this is a handful. Please go ahead, ma'am.
Okay. It is, yes. Okay. So, first of all, I would like to tell you that look after basically what your interest is. It's important to understand which field you want to work in and then backtrack about which degree you want to choose. So, if something like finance roles like investment banks, mergers and acquisitions attract you, or something that you're passionate about, meet CFAs, understand what the work is. And if that is what you want to work and expand in, then CFA is a good area for you. If you want a more holistic understanding of law, audit, finance, accounts, etc., then go for CA or ACCA. Lastly, for MBA, I think MBA is more focused and it is a post graduation degree. So it does not fall in the professional cadre. So we'll keep that aside. And as Aditya sir said, that if you have the right skills and if you are good at what you do, the job market is open for you always. And ACCA affiliates are really in demand more than ever. So it really depends on what your interest is and exactly what area you want to work in, because that is what you want to do for a majority part of your career, right? So it's important that you choose a career based on your interest area. I hope I answered that.
Yes, and there's no right or wrong answer over here, to be honest. It's like going into an ice cream parlor and saying, "Tell me the best flavor that will give me the happiest experience of all." Each
Yeah,
flavor has its own pros and cons, so whatever suits you, just explore and then decide. Chalo,
absolutely.
we can take two last questions. Bhagyashri, please go ahead.
हॅलो माझा प्रश्न आदित्य सर तुम्हाला आहे की
Hmm.
हा तुमचा क्लास ऑनलाईन असणार आहे का ऑफलाईन पण असतो?
सो हा क्लास आम्ही पुढचे 6 महिने म्हणजे पहिली बॅच आम्ही ऑनलाईन ठेवतोय. कारण आम्ही नवीन
ओके.
क्लासरूम बिल्ड करतोय. करंट क्लास US CMA बरोबर ऑक्युपाईड आहे. बट 6 महिन्याने जसं आमचं FC रोडवर आता इंटेरियर चालू आहे, सो 6 महिने इतके लागणार नाही. बट 6 महिन्यानंतर गॅरंटीड ऑफलाईन सुद्धा असणार आहे.
आणि मला जे विचारायचं जे एक्झम्पशन तुम्ही
हम्म.
म्हणालात तर
हम्म.
तो पोर्शन तुम्ही शिकवता का स्टुडंटनी आपला करायचा?
सो हे आज आम्ही सकाळीच डिस्कस करत होतो अवंती मॅम सोबत, कारण आता आमच्याकडे ऑलरेडी एक 5-6 मुलं आलीत. आम्हाला पहिली बॅच 10 मुलांची करायची, बट 5 ते 6 ऍडमिशन झालेत. त्यात आम्हाला ऑब्झर्व होत आहे की बऱ्याचशा मुलांना एक्झाम्शन आहेत, बट त्यांचे बेसिक्स फार वीक आहेत. सो
हा,
आम्ही असं करतोय
राईट.
की त्यांना आम्ही बेसिक्सचे लेक्चर इंटरनली करून आम्हीच त्यांची इंटरनली एक परीक्षा घेऊ. कारण
ओके.
कसं आहे, ते जर एक्झाम्शन असून सुद्धा परीक्षा द्यायला गेले ना, त्यांना ते महागात पडेल.
हा,
आणि
म्हणूनच मला विचारायचं होतं.
हा, सो इंटरनली आम्ही ट्रेनिंग घेऊन वी विल मेक शुअर की त्यांचे बेसिक्स क्लिअर आहेत आणि मग ते पुढे ऍक्च्युअल एक्झाम्स देऊ शकतात.
ओके. अँड तुमचं पॅटर्न कसं असं म्हणजे मॅम जसं म्हणाल्या की 2 सब्जेक्ट 3 सब्जेक्ट ऍट अ टाइम आपण अटेम्प्ट करू शकतो. पण जर सपोज एक म्हणजे मला विचारायचा उद्देश असा होता की फॉर एक्झाम्पल एखादा सब्जेक्टचं फॉर एक्झाम्पल ए घेतलं आणि तुम्ही शिकवलं, त्या मुलाने
हम्म,
एक्झाम दिली आणि नेक्स्ट
हम्म.
क्लास तुमचा कधी चालू होतो? म्हणजे त्याला शुअरिटी आहे की मी पास होईन, नाही होईन, तर मग ते कसं असतं?
आम्ही क्लासमध्ये ऍज सच ब्रेक तर घेत नाही. एक सब्जेक्ट झाल्यावर इमिजिएटली दुसरा सब्जेक्ट आम्ही चालू करतो. आता ऍट
ओके.
टाइम जर कंडिशन आलीच, की जसे मी ज्या कॉलेजमध्ये शिकवतो ना, असे
हं,
ठराविक मुले जे मला वाटत होते पास होतील पण नाही झाले, त्यांनी पुढची तयारी चालू केली होती, पण रिझल्ट आल्यावर ते येऊन भेटले. आता मी त्यांना असा प्लॅन दिलाय, की ते करंट जो नवीन सब्जेक्ट चालू केलाय त्याचा अभ्यास चालू ठेवूच शकता. जुन्या सब्जेक्टचा अभ्यास झालेलाच आहे. तर त्याच्यासाठी एक रिव्हिजन लेक्चर्स वेगळे आहेत आणि रिटेकर्स पॅटर्न एक वेगळा असतो. की तुमचा अभ्यास झालाय पण
ओके.
तुम्हाला आता थोडे करेक्शनची गरज आहे, तर ते सायमल्टेनियसली करू शकतात. स्टुडंट असेल तर करता येतं, पण प्रोफेशनल असेल म्हणजे वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल असेल,
हं,
तर
हं,
मग मी
हं.
ऍडवाइस करतो की तुम्ही ब्रेक घ्या. कारण वर्क प्रेशर बरोबर आहे ना, तुम्हाला रिटेकर्स पॅटर्न प्लस नवीन सब्जेक्ट दोन्ही दोन्ही हँडल नाही होणार. सो वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल असेल तर तुम्ही गॅप घेऊन मग स्टार्ट करू शकता, त्यात काही हरकत नाही.
मग तुमच्या या म्हणजे जो तुम्ही कोर्स म्हणताय त्याची एक तर
हम्म.
फीज आणि ड्युरेशन मग कसं असतं? म्हणजे व्हॅलिडिटी अप टू मुलं पास होईपर्यंत का कसं असतं ते मला माहित नाही म्हणून विचारते.
सो व्हॅलिडिटी तशी तर तुम्ही लाईफ टाईम पकडा, बट आम्ही विथ
ओके.
पार्ट आहे ना, एक वर्षाची व्हॅलिडिटी देतोय. आणि 1 वर्षानंतर जर तुम्ही एक्झामला जात असाल तर आम्ही फक्त प्रूफ मागतो, जस्ट टू अवॉइड की कोणीतरी लाईफ टाईम घेऊन कोणाला दुसऱ्याला विकावं नको, म्हणून
हं,
आम्ही एक
हं.
वर्षानंतर प्रूफ मागतो. पण पास होऊसपर्यंत आमचा ऍक्सेस ओपन राहतो, आमचा क्लास पूर्ण सपोर्ट ओपन राहतो. आणि
ओके.
फीज बाकीचं तर टीम तुम्हाला कळवतीलच.
ओके. अँड मटेरियल वगैरे सगळं तुमच्याकडनं प्रोव्हाईड होतं का कसं असतं?
हो, इलेक्ट्रॉनिक मटेरियल प्रोव्हाइड होईल. आम्ही सध्या प्रिंटेड मटेरियल मीन्स तुम्हाला लागत असेल तर तुम्ही एक प्रिंट करून घेऊ शकता. आम्ही पीडीएफ पाठवून देऊ किंवा तुम्हाला आमच्याकडनं
ओके.
प्रिंटेड पाहिजे असेल तरी आम्ही प्रिंट करून प्रोव्हाइड करू शकतो. मग जे काही कुरिअर चार्जेस असतील
हं,
आणि ऍडिशनल ते
हं.
फक्त तेवढे लागतील त्याला. मटेरियल
ओके.
आम्ही सध्या बीपीपी या पब्लिकेशनचा वापरतोय. मार्केटमध्ये 2 पब्लिकेशन्स फेमस आहेत. एक आहे बीपीपी आणि दुसरा आहे कपलान. तर
हं.
आता माझ्या एक्सपिरियन्समध्ये इव्हन म्हणजे ज्या कॉलेजमध्ये मी शिकवतो तिथं कपलानच यूज करतात. कपलान हे खूप शॉर्ट आणि इझी आहे समजायला, पण माझ्या मते ते इट इज टू शॉर्ट म्हणजे खूपच ब्रीफ मध्ये आहे. तर त्याला
हं.
प्रायर नॉलेज आहे ना, तो कपलान शिकून पुढे जाऊ शकतो आरामशीर. बट बीपीपी थोडंसं डिफिकल्ट आहे, बट एक्झामसाठी सुटेबल आहे. म्हणजे बीपीपी यूज करणारे पासिंग रेट जास्त मी ऑब्झर्व करतोय कपलानपेक्षा. पण बीपीपी तुम्हाला थोडे जास्त एफर्ट सुद्धा मागतं म्हणजे अभ्यास करताना. एवढाच फरक आहे.
ओके. आणि याच्या एक्झाम्सच्या डेट म्हणजे कशा असतात जनरली?
क्वार्टरली असतात, बट ते डिफर पर विंडो. आय थिंक अवंती मॅम वुड बी द राईट पर्सन. अवंती मॅम, विंडो सांगू शकता?
येस. इफ आय मे नो, तुम्ही आर यू वर्किंग एनिवेअर? म्हणजे
नाही, नाही. मी पेरेंट आहे. माझ्या मुलीसाठी जस्ट चौकशी म्हणून करून ठेवते.
गॉट इट. आणि शी इज अ स्टुडंट, राईट? इज शी ग्रॅज्युएशन कम्प्लीट
हां.
आहे की आता ग्रॅज्युएशन
नाही,
करते?
नाही, नाही. सेकंड इयर आहे बी.कॉम.
ओके, ठीक आहे. सो अ कपल ऑफ थिंग्स, जसं सर म्हणाले तसं मग तिला शी हॅज टू, म्हणजे इफ शी इज गोइंग टू स्टार्ट राईट नाव, तिला पहिल्यापासूनच सुरू करायला लागेल. तर नॉलेज लेवलचे जे 3 पेपर असतात आणि स्किल लेवलचे ते आपण ऑन डिमांड घेतो. सो जसं सर
हं.
शेड्यूल लागतील, म्हणजे फॉर एक्झाम्पल बीटी म्हणून एक पेपर आहे. तर त्याचं शेड्यूल समजा मुलांचं जूनपर्यंत क्लासेस कंप्लीट झाले, तर ते जुलैमध्ये एक्झाम देऊ शकतील. असे नॉलेज आणि स्किलचे पहिले 4 तर सरांचं शेड्यूल चॉक्ड आउट असेल, त्याच्याप्रमाणे ती पेपर्स देऊ शकते. आणि स्किल आणि प्रोफेशनलचे दर क्वार्टरमध्ये एक असतात. तर ती जर एक्सक्लुझिव्हली ह्याच्यासाठी फोकस करत असेल, तर शी कॅन गिव्ह 2 पेपर्स ॲट अ टाईम. पण जर ती नोकरी सुरू केल्यानंतर जसं सर म्हणाले तसं आहे, तर मग आय वुड रेकमेंड 1 पेपर ॲट अ टाईम. तर ते
ओके.
ऑन डिमांड पण असतात ॲज वेल एज पुढच्या लेव्हल्सला वन्स इन अ क्वार्टर असतात. तर ते मार्च, जून, सप्टेंबर, डिसेंबर फिक्स असतात.
ओके. आणि स्किल लेव्हल कंप्लीट झाल्याशिवाय तुम्ही प्रोफेशनल नाही ना देऊ शकत?
नाही, करेक्ट. आणि
ओके.
एक मला ऍड करायचं इकडे, आय थिंक आधी सरांनी कव्हर केलंच असेल, की नॉलेज आणि स्किल दोन्हीला त्यांना एक सर्टिफिकेशन आणि डिप्लोमा मिळतो. म्हणजे ऑन कम्प्लिटिंग इच लेवल त्यांना एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी मिळते. which is a very unique
ओ
thing that ACC offers, जे बाकी
ओके
कोर्सेस मध्ये रेअरली दिसतं. त्यामुळे त्यांना रेकग्नेशन ॲट एव्हरी लेवल असतं की डिप्लोमा मिळतो स्किल बरोबर, सर्टिफिकेशन मिळतं नॉलेज बरोबर आणि अर्थात प्रोफेशनल झाला त्यांना मेंबरशिपसाठी अप्लाय करता येतं.
ओके थँक्यू.
थँक्यू.
Okay. Chalo, last question. Ankit is asking how much you rate ACCA value compared to CA, CFA. हे थोड़ा apple to orange comparison आहे. So I wouldn't rate anything. Avanti ma'am, if you want to comment on this.
Same. I would tell you that ACCA will help you open doors for the world. That is true, but it's really difficult to compare one course with the other. So, same.
Okay, there you go. Chalo, I think we have short over time by 6-7 minutes. But yeah, thank you for staying back. Glad to host such wonderful session. Thank you everyone. I'll see you soon. Chalo, thank you.